I'm going to refrain from answering any questions. Have a good day.
So you do write 10 tickets?
I'm going to refrain from answering. Have a good day.
So you write 10 tickets. So you ride around with this tent and write 10 tickets. He can do what he wants. He's above the law. Thin blue line gang. I get it. Public records. So we're back out here at the Deland Police Department in Deland, Florida, where we've been several times to look into several different things. If you're not familiar with those videos, check out the pinned comment and the description for a link to the playlist about Deland Police Department. In this video, you're going to see a demonstration of police violating the law just because they can, and a supervisor, in this case a captain, just shaking his head and rolling his eyes that I dared to mention the law violation that you or I would be penalized for. Many of you probably have. But first, I want to touch on police retaliation against police. This is something that later we're going to get even deeper into, but let me give you an idea of what's going on allegedly so far here at this department. This is the records window at the department. Behind that window is Corporal Spires. Now, a few independent, separate people, separate sources within this department have come to me, and they've made some claims about Corporal Spires. They've said that they believe police administration may be retaliating against him. And briefly, I'm going to explain to you why from what I've found so far and from what they've told me. They claim that a former officer at the department was committing time card fraud. He was putting in for time that he never worked, extra hours, and sometimes, on some occasions, entire days where he never worked a minute that day. Records show that Spires noticed this. He saw something funky in this former cop's time cards. Then he looked into it more, and his suspicions were confirmed. He went forward to administration. This resulted in an investigation that confirmed that this cop was in fact stealing money from the city, taking money straight from the taxpayers and put it into his own pocket. As a result of these allegations and this investigation, that officer was allowed to resign. Being fired for that would sure look bad on his next application for a cop job somewhere. A resignation would look much better, where he can go steal from those unsuspecting taxpayers. Now, various sources at the department say that this cop was maybe favored by administration. But given that the crimes he committed were known by members of the department outside of administration, there's no way they could keep him. So losing him, hypothetically, in theory, might upset members of administration. So very shortly after his departure, Corporal Spires was given a new assignment, a foot patrol, where he is to spend every day of his shift walking up and down a large area of downtown Deland and surrounding areas on foot all day long. You might say, okay, well, that's part of the job. You might have to do that sometimes. Well, in his case, it was well known to the department that he has a pre-existing injury with his knee. And while I did not question Spires specifically about these retaliation allegations, because if true, I don't want to involve him in it, I did ask him if he has a knee injury. He did confirm it, and it's no secret, which is why I'm speaking about it. Well, within a week of his new assignment, after walking nonstop on his new foot patrol, well, that reignited his injury and put him out of commission, which is why he's on light duty at the desk now. And who knows for how long. I suppose it depends on how bad that injury is. Could it be coincidence? Sure, it could be coincidence. But I wanted to see what else we could find. So I submitted a public records request for Spires' history of discipline. If I ever get it, though, right? Administration is not a fan of the work that I do, so they usually don't make it easy to get records. I requested this discipline on Spires, and shockingly, this request I had back within 24 hours. Odd that they jumped on that request, while still requests are outstanding that were made months before that. But I found that after the resignation of that favorite officer, he started getting very petty, but very long, detailed write-ups. It's all public record, and one which is labeled a verbal counseling, I believe. Well, it's a 5-page verbal counseling, seemingly just because his vehicle was not parked exactly where it was supposed to be parked during a parade detail. Again, maybe just coincidence, right? But to me, and those who I have shown that write-up, it sure seems a bit excessive. To add to that, I noticed on this desk one day, Corporal Spires had an award that he had received. The date on that award was 1 day prior to that 5-page, ridiculous, verbal, written write-up that he received. That could give the impression that someone was trying to maybe negate that award with something negative. And that's not the only discipline he's received for very minor petty things, all since that officer was forced to resign, or allowed to resign, however you want to look at it. Nothing before that, though, which I find odd. Like I said, it's also odd that administration, Captain Dice, remembers in charge of the records, and you've seen what we go through with him in the previous videos. He gave us that disciplinary record overnight, unheard of for this department. So the following day, I went back and I requested any record of all awards and commendations that Spires may have received. And I do know that he's got some. Well, oddly, I'm still waiting on that, and it's been over a month. So the negative, they give to me immediately. The positive, they're still sitting on it. Why? Captain Dice, who refuses to speak about this issue, leaves us to just have to assume, because he will give no explanation as to what the cause for this undue delay would be. And Spires, if you remember from previous videos, he's what we call a unicorn of a cop. From everything that I've seen and I've found in research and public records, and what I've seen of him firsthand, very much for the people, understands and respects the rights of the people. Like when the department put up all these signs that the taxpayers paid for, claiming that they are banning the First Amendment. Well, he won't enforce that because, obviously, it's unconstitutional. It is my opinion that Spires is what we need to see more of. The reason that we do these things is to try to achieve that goal, weed out the bad, and retain and bring in the good. And also, like a unicorn, he is the type that will speak up when he sees another officer doing something wrong or illegal. So this we're going to get much more into. Hit the comments, let me know what you think so far. But we're stepping outside, out front of the department here, or I didn't expect to run into what I ran into. There's an unoccupied vehicle over here, a police vehicle running, unattended, which is not legal in Florida. It also has illegal tint. God damn, some dark tint. Uh-oh, that's way below AS1 line, isn't it? Ooh. So there's the AS1 line. The AS1 line's right here. You see the tint ends down here. And that's some pretty dark tint. I don't know who belongs to this car, but I hope they don't write tint tickets. I hope they don't write tint tickets. Yeah, you see it here. AS1 line is right here. So if you have tint that is down here like he does, police, good chance they'll write you a ticket. We've seen it on this channel. We've seen this ticket written by some cops for a citizen having tint down here, or for having tint that's this dark. But this is well below the AS1 line. Here, the tint ends here. So this, by Florida statute, is not legal. And we don't need a gauge right here. I mean, we do need a gauge technically to properly gauge it, but that tint is it's probably like 15% maybe, which is not legal under the statute as well. So hold on a second, we'll see who comes out to this vehicle with this man. Like, I don't care. I said this before, I don't care. Have this tint, have that tint, I don't care. But just don't be writing people tickets for the same thing that you got too, right? Can't do that. Hypocritical policing is what we do not need and what we cannot tolerate. Also, I got to point out, as we wait for the vehicle's driver to come back to it, it's left running, and that's another violation for a citizen. You cannot leave your vehicle running and unattended. You can get a ticket for that. But also, here's another thing along those lines. The person driving this car is not paying for the gas. You are. So we got a tint, potentially some tint violations. Leaving the car running violation. Now he's got this sticker on here, but that's the only indication. Nothing else says canine on this car, so I don't think there's a dog in there. I don't think so. Could I be wrong? Definitely not. I couldn't be wrong because I'm never wrong. I'm perfect. Just kidding. Obviously, I could definitely be wrong, but I don't think so. I guess if we walked up real close and we heard roar, 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 that would prove us wrong, wouldn't it? If that was the case, then it could be left running. Then it better be left running if there's a dog in there. But I don't think there is a dog in there. I don't think there is. Maybe we can get in that way. What's up? Is this your car? Oh, okay. Is there a K9 or no?
Is there a K9? No.
Yeah, okay. No, it was running out here.
Yeah,
I was just, what's your name?
Officer Mercato.
Mercado.
Yes,
do
sir.
Do you pull people over for tint or write tint tickets?
Do I pull people over? You can speak to my doctor about the tint if you have any concerns about the tint.
No, I'm not.
HIPAA protects me, so if you have any concerns,
Yeah, me too. What the hell is he talking about? So I should ask your doctor who you pull over and for what? But if it's HIPAA protected, how the hell am I going to talk to your doctor about it? Like many cops, unfortunately, he missed de-escalation class and went across the hall to escalation because he did that pretty quick. I intended to try to have a very cordial conversation just to point things out that a lot of cops don't think about, as you've seen me do many times. Instead, this one took the defensive. I hadn't even yet mentioned his tint, and I think what he's attempting and failing to explain here, or at least trying to claim, that he has a medical exemption to have the tint, as is very easy to do, but that doesn't matter. Perception is a big thing when it comes to law enforcement. Like he said, it's HIPAA protected, right? So if you get pulled over for dark tint by this cop and or get a ticket for it, that's a very hypocritical perception. And even further proof that it has nothing to do with safety and it's only about revenue for the state. If tint actually was about safety, we wouldn't see it on so many hypocritical police cars. But hang on, because this gets even better.
Okay.
Me too. I'm just asking if you give other people problems for their
I'm
tickets.
going to refrain from answering any questions. Have a good day.
So you do write tint tickets.
I'm going to refrain from answering. Have a good day.
So you write tint tickets. So you ride around with this tint and write tint tickets. Essentially. Hey, but also, hey, the car's running. Hey, you can't leave the car running. You got a supervisor? Hey, hey, hold on a second. How you doing, Milan?
You're blocking my
Hey,
truck.
you left.
Can you please let me leave?
You left your car running. Holding you hostage? Really? Okay, well, everybody take a mental note. Make sure you're careful when standing next to an occupied police car. They may charge you with holding them hostage. And he apparently missed a vehicle operations class right when he missed de-escalation. Because why can he not maneuver a vehicle forward without striking what's next to it? This is concerning, just saying. But the captain there, Captain Milan, who I was talking to, when I pointed out that this officer had some traffic violations, he shook his head and he rolled his eyes. I guess if the people do it, it's a ticket. But if we see the police do it, we're annoying that we noticed. But in a second, you're going to see that Captain Milan also apparently missed vehicle operations class. Can we write him a ticket or a warning or something? Car running, unoccupied, unattended. Would we get a ticket for that? Milan, where's my public records? What's this department hiding? Here, I got a question for you. I know nothing's going to be done about that because cops have protections that citizens don't. I get that. He can do what he wants. He's above the law. Thin blue line gang. I get it. Public records. I requested some public records, some discipline on Spires, who some people say is being retaliated against. I got his discipline overnight. I asked for his awards and commendations. I've been waiting 4 weeks. That's just one of many things.
Reach out to Captain Dice, okay?
He ignores me. So what do I do when he ignores me?
He's the one that handles the public record.
But what do I do when he ignores me?
Send him an email.
I've sent him repeated emails.
Okay.
And he said to me on video, every time I see you, I'll talk to you. That was a lie. He refuses to talk to me. So what do I do? When the person in charge of it won't talk to me, keep reaching out. So that's the Deland Police Department's answer.
Listen.
Please be honest with me. That's what I'm looking for.
If you have an issue,
I do.
There's a process of actually filing the complaint. File the complaint if that's what you need to do.
And the complaint goes to Dice.
I am off duty right now. I'm heading home. So,
well, I apologize, but no one will talk to me. So the only way I can get to talk to anybody is waiting out here for them to come to their cars. And I know that's why you're putting a fence up around the back so you guys can be well protected from transparency and accountability.
Weekend,
you need to be more honest. This department needs to be transparent and honest.
Let me make the turn here, please?
I'm not blocking from making a turn. Unless that vehicle's going to crab walk and start coming sideways, he had nothing to worry about and he knows it. That's two back-to-back cops that made the implication that standing next to the vehicle, not even very close, is hindering them from moving freely. Think about that. Why do you think that comes as second nature? Put that in the comments what you think. I know why, as I'm sure many of you do. But we got a lot going on here, a lot to unpack. First, with that cop with the vehicle running and the illegal tint, I genuinely just wanted to have a conversation like, hey, think about what you're doing and the perception that you're giving people. You take money from people to penalize them for doing the same things that you're doing. I had no intention to be rude, just to point it out. I've had success in the past, multiple times, with getting a cop to think about something and realize something that he hadn't really thought about before. But instead, with Mercato, we saw escalation. And then Captain Milan was annoyed that I pointed out these violations. But Captain Milan, he couldn't have cared less what a citizen had to say or had to ask. Genuine concerns, valid things, asking about public records and why we're not getting them. And he reminds us that Captain Dice is in charge of this. And again, when asked, well, what do I do when Captain Dice ignores my records requests and ignores my attempts to find out why they're being ignored? He says, well, keep trying to talk to the person that keeps ignoring you. And then he says, we have a complaint process. File a complaint on Captain Dice. But records isn't the only thing that Dice is in charge of. He oversees internal affairs, internal investigations, complaints on cops. Go to Dice. How do you think he'd handle a complaint on himself? And did I throw a lot at Milan right there? I did. The reason I did that is because I've got to unpack everything in the rare and brief opportunities I get to speak with any of them. They ignore calls, emails, they decline meeting attempts, flat out refuse to speak. And they're putting a fence up here behind Captain Dice right there so that they can all park there and not have to face anybody with questions or seeking accountability, transparency, things like that. And this apparent retaliation against a whistleblowing officer for turning in an officer breaking the law and stealing from the people. Get to those comments. Let me know what you think about all of this. Hit the subscribe button if you haven't already. Make sure you got notifications turned on. That way you'll be the first to know when more craziness comes up. And maybe soon we'll get some breaking news and I'll say, hey, Deland released some public records to me. And maybe that release won't seem to have an agenda behind it, like how they were so quick to release anything negative about Corporal Spires.